Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Spiritual-Gypsy Tarot, and today's video is messages from higher self, 3 of them. It'll be how to give yourself self-love with a self-doubt that you're having, how to feel grateful for a boundary that the universe put in place or your higher self put in place, and how to get growth while withdrawing your energy from things that no longer serve you. So those are the 3 sets of messages from your higher self. There are 3 cards. This is pile number 1. It's 16, or it breaks down to 7 in numerology if you add it together, and it is with the lapis lazuli. We have pile number 2, which is 21, or 3, with the citrine here. And we have number 23, or 5, if you break it down into numerology, with the tiger's eye. So if you need to pause a moment and reflect, you can do so. Otherwise, I will see you in your pile. Alright, if you picked this significator card, number 16, with these daisies, I believe. They might be daffodils. And this crystal, the lapis lazuli, then this is your pile on messages from your higher self. Oh, come on, camera, focus. Sorry, y'all. Okay, I have 3 piles of oracle for each message from your higher self, and then we'll pull tarot. So this is the first message. I'll pull that closer until I need space so you can see it. Bear with me here, I'm still learning how I like filming. Okay, so the first oracle, first message has 2 of this kind of oracle. We have obsidian walls with kind of like a buffalo up here. I am protected. I am able to protect. I am reliably able to rid myself of negative energy. And this first message, if that's your significator card, is about self-love. So it's how to overcome a self-doubt with self-love, this first message. So I'll put all these cards out and we'll see what it says. This being your significator card will be in every message. With the significator card, I kind of see that you are a whole person. Sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in the twin flames and the soulmate kind of thing, but there are 2 star fires in that significator card, 2 shooting stars, 2 falling stars. So maybe you have dual flame, maybe you're complete, maybe you're not here to complete something, maybe you're here to show the way for something, or to elevate the consciousness. Some people are not believers in the twin flame thing or the soulmate thing, you know. They believe in vertical connectivity, you know, we're all part of the same source, and that we're all whole, and that we mate with people who are on the same capacity level. Okay, and then so the second one of those is volubilis. I'm probably saying that all kinds of wrong. It's got an archway here in a ruin. I am organized and efficient. I weave my spirituality through all aspects of my life. I can be both creative and prosperous. We have Rishish, I'm probably saying that wrong, with retreat with 27, which breaks down to 9 in numerology. There are a lot of oracle with this because I wanted to make sure I got as much information about a message from higher self as possible. We have fire with confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery that has the Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius energy. And I love that we have fire when we had 2 star energies up here in the significator card, and like you have those warm tones in those 2 colors as well as red in this color. All right, and then we have forgiveness in the crown chakra. Put that over here, figuring out where I like everything. Okay, we also have Circes with witchcraft, power, and come on, focus, transformation. It is also number 23 for 5. Bear with me here, I'm gonna shift some things. Okay, sorry about that. All right, we also have an Enna, I'm probably saying that wrong, with wholeness. She was a goddess whose sister ruled the underworld, and she went into the underworld, and they stole her power and goddesshood from her, but she got it back. And she learned to forgive her shadow side, because in that story, she and her sister are one. They're sisters, but they're also the same. And then, oops, sorry about that, guys. We also have obliviousness and awareness with another 23 with the shadow light card here. Okay, so first thoughts on this message before tarot is we have 23 twice here, so I'm pulling this down. I'm going to also zoom in here so you can get a better look at the oracle before I pull in tarot. There's a lot of fire up here, but then there's a lot of blue down here, as well as there's 2 flames here, okay? So I'm seeing that already, and we're talking about a self-doubt that can be changed with self-love, and that's the message that we're talking about first from higher self. And with this obliviousness and awareness, the self-doubt might be when you are in the void, or when, so with this fire energy, I see a lot of actively doing the work, right? We talked about that, being a whole person, knowing that you are part of a whole, knowing that you are masculine, feminine, shadow, light, higher self, and inner child, right? So I'm believing the forgiveness comes in as to what you can do for self-love, because with all this fire, I see action, and maybe you get really hard on yourself when you're not doing something, and maybe the void when the work is just sitting with something, you feel as if you're not being useful per se. And so learning to forgive yourself is a form of self-love that will help with those doubts of, am I useful when I'm just sitting here in the feeling and learning? That's the initial messages I'm getting, but we're going to pull tarot in. Okay, I apologize, guys. I wanted to make plenty of room for tarot. So we're going to get some more information on that message from higher self on how to overcome a self-doubt with some self-love, and what we can do self-love wise to give ourselves reliefs from that self-doubt. Okay, so you have cards. All right, those, whoa, okay, you have cards coming out the wazoo. Okay, we'll start with these, and then if we need more, okay. Sorry, I have a toddler and he's teething, but I promise you he's fine. He's with his other parent and his grandparents. We have Empress with nurture. the Empress. I'm sorry if I did not say that correctly. He's getting his back teeth, my child is. So sometimes even medicine and just calming him isn't enough. So I apologize if you're hearing that. The sun with happiness. Also, he loves to be outside and it's starting to get dark. So I think he just came in from playing outside in his water. So again, I apologize if you're having to hear that. It's just the life of a mom. But the other parent helps me when I do videos. Okay, and then we have King of Wands with action. I'm gonna stop there for a moment for space wise also, because I feel like this is really, for me, clarifying what I already saw of you're a very action-oriented person. You do the work required of you. One of the universal laws, right, is doing the action that's required to take the steps towards your manifestations. So you do the action. You're a very action-oriented person, and maybe a self-doubt for you is when you're not doing something. If you watch Encanto, if you're a mom or a parent, you might feel a lot with that older sister, with that surface pressure of, did Hercules ever not want to fight Cerberus, you know, kind of thing, of like, you feel like you have to do action, you have to do things in order to feel useful. And that is where your self-doubt comes in. When you're not doing action and you're not feeling useful, you struggle to maintain the self-love that you have otherwise, perhaps, because when you're not doing something, you're more aware of those negative thoughts that come in from ego or other people or collective, and you're oblivious to it when you're doing those actions. And with this Sun card, you're very happy to be doing something and feeling useful. It doesn't bother you to do that. It's more of the doubt comes in when you're not. And the message I'm getting is nurturing yourself, okay? So in those moments when you feel not useful because you're not doing something, maybe it's because you don't feel well, or you're tired, or just because you've had a long day and you don't feel like you have enough energy to do some of the more exuberant tasks that you have, it's saying nurture yourself, mother yourself, and love yourself, and give yourself forgiveness is this message. Because, for example is easy for me to give. It's very easy to mother or parent other people, right? People we care about. It's easy to be like, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, let me know when you get there, for people you care about. You hear a lot about friend moms in the group, or the friend mom in groups, or the older sibling, or the sibling that cared for the other sibling, or things like that. So like, you mother other people well. You know, typically we mother other people better than we mother ourselves. So the message here so far is to nurture yourself like you would someone else, and be like, it's okay to be sick. You can still feel valuable. It's okay to not feel like you want to do the dishes right now or do the laundry right now because you did a lot of other things today. You don't have to be constantly showing the action you're doing in order for it to be valid. Also kind of getting, it won't be for everyone in this pile, but also might be, sorry, that card is out of frame. Might be for some, but not for all, that it's okay to, sorry, I'm trying to say less and likes, so reading the energy might take more time because it's coming in so fast. It's okay to do the calmer activities. You are still doing the work. And for some of you, you don't need outside validation to prove you're doing the work. That's what it was. Sorry about the lag there. And I said it anyway. But so the thing is, the actions that you're doing and the work you're doing, and you are aware of the work you're doing. You're going in to the underworld. You know, you're looking at your shadow, you're facing it, you're doing the actions necessary, you're transforming yourself, you are knowing what you're capable of getting rid of the energy that no longer serves you, and you know that you're worthy of creativity and prosperity, and you know when to retreat within yourself and hermit. So for some of you, this is just, you do not need other people to validate your actions to know that you are doing what you need to do. That won't be for everyone, but that will be for some. Some of you, the self-love of nurturing yourself when you don't feel valuable because you're not doing something is the message. But for a few of you out there, it might be that you don't feel seen right now, that you feel like the universe isn't seeing all the work that you're doing, and that comes down to forgiving yourself. Also forgiving yourself for being human or having those feelings, and it's okay to have those feelings and sit with them. And that's part of that work, is just sitting with them and being aware of those feelings. So let's keep going. We had some more of those tarot cards come out when we got those ones. We have, hold on, wait, sorry about that, guys. My spouse was bringing up our child to play in his room. So the next card that come up was Charity. That's a different card in this deck, with Generosity. We have Temperance with Harmony. Look at all those major arcana. And, oh, sorry guys. And the Court card there. Okay. Sorry, I had to create space. I only have so much space on this deck. Okay, our desk. And then we have the Chariot with movement. Okay, so a lot of major arcana for this pile and for this message of self-doubt versus self-love. So I am definitely getting action-oriented, but there's balance here, right? With movement versus being generous to yourself and generous to your emotions. This also might be, some of you prefer to be doing things rather than sitting and learning about what your emotions mean for you. And that could be the oblivious versus the awareness. Like, you do the work, like the actions required, but are you sitting with the emotions that you're having with this blue here, and with that obliviousness and the awareness? The emotions you're having, are you avoiding them? And why? You know, to deep dive into them, because there are different kinds of movement. And with nurturing yourself, nurturing your emotions, and having harmony inside. And why are you not feeling useful when you're not doing something? Like, are you doing the work of being aware of what those emotions are telling you? Also, for some of you, this could be where you're not feeling seen in your actions. You're doing all this work and you're not feeling seen by the universe. It's saying to provide service, or to be a source of guidance for others, or to go out and do the work in the community. For some light workers, it is our job to raise the awareness by action-based, by showing that there is a different way to be. Also, it could just be that you need to feel the emotion and be charitable with yourself. Be generous with yourself. When that comes, I'm saying a lot, and I apologize. Sometimes you need to sit with those feelings. And you need to feel okay with not doing anything else but sitting with those feelings. So this message is kind of twofold. It's forgive yourself, nurture yourself. Know that it's okay to not do things sometimes. It's okay to not be on the go constantly. It's okay to kind of slow down, especially if you've done a lot of the work. You're going to hit places where you're going to have to start slowing down and doing more inner work, right? So this is talking about being generous with yourself and nurturing yourself and knowing that it's okay sometimes to need to take a 3D moment, okay? It is okay if your body needs rest, or if your mind needs rest, or if you need time with your family, or if you need time with people who support you, or if you need to have fun, okay? Because you only get one life, and the meaning of life is to live. So it's saying being generous with yourself and know that it's okay to not do some of the things you feel you're expected to do. This could be a self-doubt of when you do live your life, like you go to the park with your kids or you go do something fun, you might put off one of those tasks that are important, like laundry or dishes or dusting or something along those lines, a day or so to do those things. And then that doubt kicks in of how am I not able to do all of these things? Well, look at it as a positive and a self-love aspect of, I'm so glad my shadow allowed me to not do that so that I could go have that moment with my kids, or I could go experience nature, or I could go blow some steam off, okay? So the harmony here is movement, not in doing what you think you need to do, and sometimes just doing what you feel you need to do. It's not always, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's not being action oriented to the point where you exhaust yourself out physically. Sometimes you just have to go with what your emotions say. A lot of the time, being intuitive is going with your emotions and knowing what they are saying to you. And some of that obliviousness versus awareness could be you learning to listen to your emotions. So those emotions that are like, okay, I need a break, I need to go have some fun. And then you go have fun. You feel good the whole day, right? Until you come home and you see what you didn't do. And that what you didn't do is then when you start feeling negative. That is the emotion you need to go through. Why? That's when you need a hermit. Why am I feeling bad all of a sudden when I had such a good day and I enjoyed the life in the moment, in the present that was given to me? The root of that why is linked with your trauma and is probably linked to your inner child and what you need to forgive. Because a lot of us were conditioned of you have to do life a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to clean a certain way, you have certain expectations you have to meet in life to be happy. And if you don't, then what kind of life are you living, right? But that's not necessarily the case, because if we died tomorrow, those dishes would still be there. That job would still be there. They'd be hiring someone else. So it's finding harmony between those to-do lists that are necessary, but also the things that are necessary to make us feel happy, okay? And then you have 2 more cards left in the first message here. We have the 6 of Wands with success and the Emperor with maturity. Lots of major arcana for this pile. Pardon me here. I'm running out of space. Okay. So, success for you is action-based. And so you know that you have a very prominent masculine energy, okay? And that's what all this fire is, this masculine energy. So your significator card to me, I'm going to pull this up for this part of the message, is getting in touch with those feminine energies. There's so much blue and green here, okay? So those feminine energies, and that's where that awareness of your emotions come in, that nurturing self, that generosity to self, forgiving self, and that Circe's card with that magic transformation of you run away from your emotions with actions. You would rather be blissfully unaware, doing something action, which is part of the work, doing the action for your manifestation, but you also have to learn to sit with your emotions and what they mean. So, to recap real quick, the first message from your higher self is to sit with the feelings, to not feel doubt when you're not doing actions, because learning what your emotions mean is an action that is required. And the way that you can show yourself self-love is to see the positive in it, to forgive yourself and see the positive of what your shadow allowed you to do. Because there is a reason we have shadow and light. Would you have, if you were just going in that masculine energy of do, I've got to do this action-based thing, I have to complete all of these tasks, would you have gotten to experience that time outside or that break of fun if you didn't go with the feeling of I need a break, right? So that feeling and that shadow was necessary. So in this pile, the self-love is to see why your shadow is giving you those emotions, to follow that rabbit hole. It is okay to show your self-love by following your feelings. So in this pile, your self-love to combat that doubt of doing is to follow your feelings and do those actions sometimes, and to understand what those feelings mean. Okay, pile number 1. Now for your second message from your higher self. The first one was, sorry, I have an incense going, was the how to combat a self-doubt with some self-love. This one is how to see a boundary that the universe is giving you as something to be grateful for rather than to feel stuck for. Okay, so we have Avebury Standing Stones. I seek knowledge and receive greater knowledge. When I am ready, greater power means greater responsibility. It is a natural part of life. To exclude and include, discernment is necessary. I already know from the last message that I like that there. Okay, we have Ashwagandha, I'm probably saying that wrong also. Purpose with 54. That breaks down to 9. Also, I remember I like that there. Okay, let's get some of the bigger cards. We have Loneliness versus Connection with that shadow light with 31, which breaks down to 4. Gonna move the camera a little bit. Okay, we also have Our Lady of Guadalupe, Unconditional Love. We have Achilles with number 20, which is 2, Courage, Defiance, and Strength. We have Complacency in the root chakra. One second. Okay, sorry, I was fixing things. And we have Chiron with Hurt and Heal. Okay, so I'll put that there. Trying to create as much space as possible, but also so that the cards can be seen here. But now we have room for tarot. So initial thoughts on something that you might feel stuck because you had a boundary put in place by the universe, but how to turn it into something to be grateful for. I'm getting the discernment here with the knowledge to know what's necessary, with the purpose here. So, pardon me, one second. Sorry, I have an incense going. And there we go. Okay. Okay. So part of being aware is having the discernment to know that some of our connections we outgrow, right? As we transcend, we outgrow some of the connections in our lives. With that loneliness versus connection card there, I already feel like this pile might feel stuck in the fact that they lose connections as they transcend and as they grow. And that might be where you're feeling stuck. You're like, why do I have to lose the people that I care about along the way? Or why do I have to have this detachment and this discernment to know that not everyone in my life will continue to be in my life as I grow, right? and it hurts, right? And it feels kind of like you're missing something, right? When you are disconnected from others and you're just with yourself and you're doing the work and you have the courage to push through for your purpose, but at the same place, it gets lonely, right? To lose connections while you're waiting on your vibe to attract your tribe, right? So let's get tarot here to strengthen this message and get more details. We have the Five of Swords with conflict. For some of you, this might be new. Like you're just starting to have conflicts in your relationships and you're starting to feel the loneliness that comes with ascending, because not everyone understands why do you want to meditate? Why do you want to do yoga? Why are you starting to deep think things and see things differently? We have the Five of Wands with battle. We have the Six of Swords with boundaries. I'm going to stop there for a minute. So, this might be new for some of you, this conflict between connections that you have and loneliness. There's a lot of hermit type energy when you transcend or when you go within and you learn what your feelings are and you learn what your traumas are, especially if you have root trauma or root chakra trauma with this complacency, which also breaks into our family connections, right? Because root chakra is childhood and our families did the best they could with what they knew at the time. But you also, as you transcend, learn to see the bigger picture and learn to see all sides and understand things deeper. And you forgive, but you also understand and you kind of go through this process of learning, right? And it's conflicting. And also for some of us, the negative voices in our head aren't ours. They're other people's from growing up and connections and lost relationships. And as we transcend, we learn to disconnect and release those voices of other people. But it is a bit of a... Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. My incense was finished and it fell over. Okay. So part of that is when you start transcending, you start learning about releasing thoughts in our heads that aren't ours, or worries about thoughts that aren't ours. When we worry about what other people think of us, or secretly gathering those energies of what other people think of us onto ourselves, or when we need outside validation, those words of other people and atta girls and things like that are stuck in our head and are a source of conflict for us. And when you start coming out of that and you start ascending and you start growing and you start realizing that you need to release some of those expectations that you have for yourself, and that your purpose is different, and that the universe is different, and that your feelings are important, and that they tell us things, and you start seeing the overall bigger picture from the outside perspective, being able to see from everyone's point of view, and you get in that dreaminess state of being able to meditate and connect with source and your higher self. And then you have battles that come up in your real life from those conflicts that you're releasing. And it ends up being that you release some people in the meantime during those conflicts. And you have to put boundaries in place with some of those connections. Some of those connections you're able to separate, and they're able to support you and love you even though they don't understand, right? Some relationships you're able to maintain. You just have to speak differently. You're able to shield yourself and your energy. You don't have to cut them off completely. It just ends up being a different connection than it was originally. And some people you actually have to cut off, and you have to have that boundary in place, and it might feel lonely. So for this pile, I see that the stuckness is just feeling lonely and cut off from connections or people, and what that means when you start transcending. Let's see what this means as far as how to seek gratitude for it. We have Page of Wands with innocence, and Six of Pentacles with a gift here. Oh, let me put that up so you can see it. With gifts. So I'm seeing that as it's a new, those actions, right, is leading to an innocence, right? Because when you transcend, it's like wiping away that, and you get a new mentality, a new outward look for everything, right? You start seeing the whole picture. You start seeing the connections between everyone. You start going down rabbit holes. You start understanding your intuition, your manifestations. You understand the power that you have, your strength that you have, and the connection you have to the universe and the gifts that it provides, okay? So it's saying to see it as when you're disconnecting and you finally heal from that hurt, you have a renewal. It's like you're a child again. You connect with your inner child and you're able to be grateful for those abundances it brings in more of a generic way of saying it, it's saying the way that you turn this stuck energy into gratitude is by being grateful for the new beginnings and the new connections that you receive, and for the abundance that you have from the universe. So that could be as simple as waking up and being thankful you woke up, being thankful for the weather that day, being thankful for the plants that you see, being thankful for the trees that you see, being thankful for the fact that you got mostly green lights. If you start seeing more things to be grateful for, it will kind of trigger more things to be grateful for. And gratitude will slowly change that feeling of loneliness into a place of healing for you for those lost disconnections, and raise that vibration and attract that tribe to you. So this second message from higher self is gratitude will help you receive more gratitude, because if you put gratitude in, you'll get things to be grateful for out of it. So the way to feel unstuck is to start seeing everything that you can be grateful for. It wouldn't be a bad idea if you're a journaler to have a gratitude journal here for when you're feeling stuck. And that's the second message for pile number 1. All right, pile number 1, the last message is how you'll receive growth from a withdrawal of energy that you've recently done, which ties in really well with the last message you had in this pile of you're starting to feel lonely, and how that's making you feel stuck from the connections that you have to let go of as you transcend. And so this message is how a growth is coming with a withdrawal that you're doing. So it will probably be an extension on that if I had to go with my intuition on it. We have Delphi with I receive divine messages constantly and clearly. I look for the truth in any situation. I know myself. Power comes from the inside out. We have Poppy with Dream 41 or 5. If you do numerology. We have 30 with Appreciation and Greed in the light shadow, which is also 3 if you do numerology. We have the Priestess with Intuition. We have Isolation with the Throat Chakra. Okay, starting to get some energies, but I'll finish putting the cards out here. We have Midas Touch with 13 or 4. Reversal of fortune, wealth, prosperity, and success. And then we have the Sun with self-express and embodied truth. Alright, so just from the oracle, my initial feelings are this appreciation versus greed. here with just being grateful for what the universe gives you will help you grow and be abundant and not feel this withdrawal that you're feeling. Also, that you can reverse your own fortune by feeling abundant with what you have, okay? Because greed is a heavy energy and not a light energy, because what is meant to be for us will be for us, and we will attract it with our energy. And so kind of not having the energy of expecting more when you're not grateful for what you have. But we will get tarot and clarify this message here. I felt drawn to those. Boy, your tarot cards have been coming out like crazy, pile one. Okay, Ace of Wands with new adventures. Look at that pretty green and blue. And with that throat chakra and more green and blue here. Okay. We have the Lover's card with passion. Which the Lover's card in tarot is actually a card of choice. It can be love, but it can also be just choice. We have gratitude. The Nine of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Wands with impulsiveness. Definitely feeling some fire energy from this pile. Some of you may be a fire sign or rising or moon. Not necessarily. Could just be the energies of this pile, but there's a lot of like impulsiveness with the Aries, the Sun, the fire, and you have the High Priestess with empowerment. Okay. So, being grateful for new adventures, being grateful for every new thing the universe gives you, every dream, every manifestation into reality, everything the universe gives you, being grateful for it, because it's saying that greed can lower your vibration. Trust your intuition and be grateful. You can choose to be grateful for everything the universe does for you, because the universe is neutral. It's a universal law that the universe is neutral. It's how we perceive it, right? And as our vibrations increase, we start to see things in a more neutral perspective. With this throat chakra, I'm getting more of speaking about your gratitude, verbally saying I am grateful for this, choosing to verbally say I'm grateful, and it's going to lead to this wish fulfillment here. So this withdrawal that you had, as long as you can remain grateful and grow through this loss and trust your intuition and trust your self-expression and your power within your intuition, and trust the work that you're doing, trust your dreams, trust your manifestation, trust what Spirit is telling you, you're going to have a wish fulfillment by just being grateful. As we said in this last message from Higher Self, gratitude is going to give you more things to be grateful for. That is a heavy message in this pile, number one. Being grateful for the little things, the little new adventures that they give you is going to lead to a massive new adventure, where as long as you choose to continue to be grateful, you're going to have a wish fulfillment to be grateful for. Now, I'm getting this kind of like a warning of be careful about being impulsive. Do not get too greedy, because if you're too greedy, it could kind of give this duality of power for you, right? Because being greedy can have you kind of stuck in a certain energy. You won't not have things to be grateful for, but it'll kind of stop at 3D gratitude, and it won't go beyond. It won't go beyond like it won't go beyond into like the 5D and beyond kind of gratitude. You can have this word abundance, it's saying, with your impulsiveness and greed, and have to learn your life's lesson again, or you can learn to be grateful, take on that stronger action, your purpose action, the action of your dreams and your soul, and reverse in fortune by just being grateful. Choosing to be grateful will become a source of power for you and a source of wish fulfillment. So even those losses are important. And knowing that your power comes from inside you and not from outside of you. So for some of you, where I said you were feeling like you were doing all this work and you weren't being seen by the universe, this is saying to not be so impulsive, and knowing that the power comes from inside of you. And knowing that you've done the work is all you need. You don't need outside validation. And then being grateful for what you have. Even the smallest thing will lead to more things to be grateful for. Sorry for that blurriness. So this is the messages I've had for pile number 1 from their higher selves. If you liked it or disliked it, leave a like or a dislike, a positive comment or a constructive criticism comment, and feel free to share and subscribe if you would like, and thank you for joining. All right, if you picked this significator card with 21 or 3 in numerology with this citrine crystal, this is your pile. Your significator card will be in your pile for each set of messages from higher self. We have 3 messages we're going to get today and 3 sets of oracle cards for those messages, but you'll always know it's your pile because your significator card will be there. So I have 3 sets of oracle for each message from higher self. Here, this is the first set. The first message is how to overcome a self-doubt with some self-love. You have the growth and pain, shadow and light card with the number 1. You have the feminine archetype of star and wonder. It talks about knowing and looking at the stars, and it will tell you more about yourself. We have nymphs with 31 or 4 with playfulness, frivolity, I'm probably saying that wrong, and allure. Okay, and we have the heart chakra with trickery. I'm just making as much space as possible. I used a lot of oracle for these messages because I wanted to get as much information from higher self as possible. We have the South Node with destined to release. Okay, and then we have House 8 with transformation, karma, facing fears, and legacies. There's a skeleton here. So a lot of this pile I'm seeing is releasing something. Let's see if I can put that one there. I can. Okay. Bear with me here. Okay, and then we have Machu Picchu with I am nourished in both body and mind. I can see my part in the wider universe. I reap what I sow. And there's mountains here with the moon, I believe. It could be the sun. It's the sun, I think, and ruins in front of the mountain there. And then we have Magician with number 40 or 4 with ginseng. It's kind of also got this wheel of life going here. Some roots. All right. So let's take initial thoughts with the oracle before we pull in tarot on a self-doubt that can be healed with a little bit of self-love. I'm thinking it is some pain in the heart chakra. It could be linked with root chakra or family relations, especially with this ruins. You know, there might be a ruined sense of connection, and your heart has played a part in it. Maybe you have followed your heart in the past, been kind of more playful and aloof with your heart in the past, and now there's pain in it and it needs to be released in order to heal. Releasing things is a form of self-love, but we will get the tarot in to get more clarity on this message. It might also just be talking about the pain to release it, because I had a cough in the back of my throat. I had to stop and take a drink of water, and nothing happens during readings that isn't on purpose. So it might just be that you have your heart is playing tricks on you, or this trickery is that you just think that you can't release it, but you can, or that you've been holding on to this for so long and maybe it's an easy release, or maybe it's as simple as just communicating that you went through the trauma. Sometimes it is hard to admit that we've gone through trauma. That one. And that one. And that one. Alright, 5 cards. Real easy. Okay. Let's see what I can get in the frame here. And then we'll check them out. Ooh, come on, cards. Bear with me here. Okay, I think we get most of all of them in the frame. Alright, let me start with these ones. This one, I'm sorry. We have 6 of Wands with success, and there's more green and blue, like in the heart chakra and the throat chakra. Oh, sorry, I moved my camera, just trying to fit the cards in there. Okay. We have Queen of Wands with passion, more green in the background there. We have the Knight of Swords with spontaneity. Ooh, that kind of ties in with that playfulness and that aloofness of the nymphs. We also have Justice with balance. Slide that just a little bit more so that we can see the last card there, which is difficulties with the 2 of Swords. Okay. So let me zoom in a little bit for you so you can see your cards while I'm talking. I'm also going to take a moment to read the energy. Okay. So there is mountains in your significator card. In this feminine energy card, there are mountains in this Machu Picchu card. And I think that it's significant in the fact that, you know, mountains are strong in the face of difficult weather, in the face of time. They're very strong, natural structures, right, in nature. So I see this as you have had a very strong heart chakra, but it's also been a source of pain. So your heart chakra is a strength, but also a weakness, which that happens. Sometimes your strongest strength is also a weakness. Every shadow aspect has a light aspect. Every light aspect has a shadow. So that's what I'm seeing with that. So with the success here, I see it being linked with the heart chakra, in the sense that getting to know what your heart is telling you. Sometimes we have to quiet our minds in order to hear what our heart is saying to us. So in this self-doubt, I see it as sometimes you might doubt which voice is yours and which voice is your soul's. Like if you're new or if you're on a spiritual journey of healing, sometimes that those thoughts in our brain are conflicting. Some might be that little voice inside that's our soul or our spirit talking, and sometimes it's our mind talking. So I'm thinking this duality here is being able to know the difference. And there is success in hearing what your heart has to say to you. It's not playing tricks on you. It is where the soul sits. It's the chakra that helps us connect with our soul and our passion. So the advice here so far with this self-doubt is to listen to your heart chakra for success and to follow what your spirit is telling you, to follow your intuition and doing the action that's required based on your intuition. And it comes up sporadically, your intuition and what you're feeling and what you should do based on your feeling. That's with the spontaneity here. This Knight of Swords, your heart is speaking to you occasionally, and it is with this release here and this transformation telling you about things that should be healed or that should be moved through or experienced or learned from. And a lot of time we don't want to think about our past. We don't want to think about the things that hurt us. But a lot of times going through what hurt us and those feelings and what we were thinking and getting to the root of those feelings does heal that. And with this balance here, I see that it's more on the side of the shadow versus light. See, it's heavier on this side. And that's why there's duality here of that. Sometimes your shadow is leading more than your light side or your higher self, perhaps. And that might be the trickery here. You're thinking that it's your soul talking, but it's actually your ego or your shadow side talking. And our shadow exists for a reason, to protect us. So we just have to dive into why is shadow doing what it is doing, right? Why is our masculine energy doing the actions it's doing to protect us? For example, shadow might make you self-sabotage during conflict because when you were younger, you were the victim of conflict in a household that was not very stable. So your shadow thinks it's protecting you by kind of having your flight or flight respond to conflict by leaving the area. But in all actuality, sometimes conflict is needed to heal, right? Sometimes it's necessary to have debates. It's necessary to have conflict to reach a compromise. A lot of people think that conflict is not always negative, but not necessarily, because somewhere in between two extremes is a middle place of harmony. And the best metaphor I have for shadow and light is your higher self and your spirit is supposed to lead the chariot and your shadow is supposed to be behind so that it can give you insights and stuff to protect you when needed, but it shouldn't be in control. Your higher self should be in control. And sometimes it's so easy to let our shadow lead us because it feels comfort, right? It feels like a comfortable place to be. It's our comfort zone. We know we're safe from the harm we've experienced before because it has saved us more than it has harmed us. But in this instance, higher self is saying that sometimes you can be led astray by your shadow, and sometimes it can play tricks on you, and it might be a shadow in the heart chakra. Every aspect has a light and a shadow, and so a source of pain for you could have caused shadow in your heart chakra. But it is saying to listen to the spontaneous words of your spirit. So the self-doubt that I'm getting might be that you have trouble listening to your higher self thoughts or your spirit. It might also come as a duality. It might be like you're feeling some sort of way versus you're thinking some sort of way. For example, you might feel strongly that you doubt people, right? That you don't believe the best in people, that they're always going to do something shady or things like that. But in your mind, you can logically think it out. For example, a friend isn't texting you back, right? You can logically be like, oh, they're sleeping, they're eating, they're busy, they're working, something like that. But sometimes your emotions will trick you and be like, they don't want to talk to you, or they don't want to be a friend anymore, or they're only pretending to be your friend. Or thoughts like that are the kind of duality that could cause trickery for you in your heart chakra versus your higher self, because it's based in emotion, and it's due to a root of like feeling abandoned or a betrayal wound when you were younger, or just being in that conflict when you were younger can make you have that inner conflict in yourself. And healing ourselves is how we heal our outside. So this doubt might come from conflicts, when you're in conflict with other people. It could come from when you're in conflict with yourself. But so that's the doubt that I'm seeing in this pile. It comes from when the two voices inside are not on the same page. So let's get how we can heal it with a little bit of self-love. There are 3 cards there. We have the Page of Wands with innocence. We have the 6 of Swords with boundaries. We have the Tower card with foundation. We have the King of Swords with structure. Pardon me, let me do some moving around here. Okay. And we need 1 more card, Spirit. We got 2 more cards. Okay, so let me just make some room here, guys. Pile number 2 for your first message. You have an extra card on the how to self-love and heal through this self-doubt. Okay. We have Wheel of Fortune with fate. And this extra card you got was 2 of Cups with union. Okay. Come on, camera, focus. There, okay. And then I'll refocus so that you can see everything. Okay. So the self-love I'm getting is kind of healing your inner child with putting boundaries in place with yourself, okay? When those thoughts occur, those anxieties in your heart chakra that cause that self-doubt, you're going to put boundaries in place in your mind that are going to help heal that wound by kind of having a tower moment. The best way I can explain it is, so when those anxieties come up, put a boundary in place that you're going to journal, you're going to do something creative, you're going to talk to a friend about it, you're going to do yoga, you're going to meditate on it, something like that. Put those boundaries in place before you do any actions, any actions that those anxieties are telling you to do. And I'm getting an itch. So something about, it's a constant anxiety, right? So that anxiety is there, and then once you tap into it, it doesn't go away. So another boundary is, it's okay for it to be there, but don't give it fuel by thinking about it, because what we think about is what we manifest into our reality. So when those anxious thoughts come up, think of it in a new way with this innocence card, and think of doing something you wouldn't have done before, like the journaling, like the meditation, like going for a walk, doing something you love creatively, baking, drawing, painting, anything like that, so that when you come back to the thought, it doesn't have any power, okay? And by breaking that cycle, so Carl Jung, the person who wrote about shadow work and subconscious versus conscious, was talking about you could break the cycles in those thought patterns and action patterns by simply starting to put new actions and thoughts in those cycles, and eventually it would clean out the negative cycle. For example, when you're washing your clothes, right, the cycle will slowly clean the stains out of your clothes. So by doing new actions, in a sense here, new beginnings of when those anxieties come up, doing self-love in the sense of self-care and creativity and going for a walk, putting that anxiety on pause and not giving it fuel, and reminding yourself with these boundaries, the higher self thoughts of, they could be working, they could be busy, they could be sleeping, or everything will work out in my favor, because even negative things that happen in the universe are in my favor. So by changing the thought pattern into, it's going to be okay, I know the universe is protecting me, I know everything will work out the way that it should, and that everything that's meant for me will be for me, and doing those actions to kind of get rid of that anxiety is going to cause a tower moment and help destroy or release some of those anxieties that you have built up. And it's going to cause a new structure in your thought pattern, and it's going to reverse the wheels of fate here, in the sense that it will start healing that duality between shadow and light, and it'll have a union with those two, so that you can start listening more to the dual intuition rather than the one versus the other. So the higher self here about the self-love is to have this innocent joy with it, with trying new things and keeping those positive thoughts as a boundary, and it will slowly heal those anxieties for you and build a new thought pattern, which in turn will lead to the wheels of fate turning and you healing your inner child and your light and shadow, or masculine and feminine sides, coming together in this union and having a stronger, powerful intuition, or whatever your power would be when you are healed. So for the first higher self message, that self-doubt with anxiety can be healed by having childlike wonder and new beginnings, but also by maintaining positive thoughts. So that's the first message for pile number 1. Okay, pile number 2, the second message from higher self is how to turn a situation where you feel stuck into a sense of gratitude, or how to be grateful for it. You have the Shadow Light card with freedom, sacrifice, or 10 in numerology. We have the feminine archetype here of mystic with devotion. We have Eros with love struck, infatuation, and heart sore, and it is a number 9. Got 9 and 10 there. Okay, we have the root chakra with insecurity. Let me just make some room here, yo. Okay, and we have house 5. There's a crow there, or a raven, and it's got passion, play, children, confidence, and creativity. It's got some music notes there. We have sage with blessing and number 6. We also have the moon and Jupiter up here. And the last card is Uluru, I'm probably saying that wrong, with I have power and it is real. I create my destiny. I carry the greatness of my ancestors in my body and soul. Okay, so initial thoughts before pulling tarot with just the oracle with the stuck. You might be a people pleaser, and with that anxiety in the first message, I could get that, because people pleasing kind of leads to anxiety tendencies, and that can be rooted in insecurity in your childhood or that root chakra, and especially if you had to conform so that to other people's emotions. And that could also be why you have the Mystic card here, that's being very intuitive of other people's emotions. And that's why most people become people pleasers, is because they feel energy shifts and they act accordingly so that the energy stays at a certain level, because of anxiety they had as a child of maintaining that balance so that they had a happy day or a okay day or a natural day. So those people pleasing tendencies tend to come from that root of having to maintain a certain energy from when we're younger. So let's get tarot in here to get more information on how to be grateful for this people-pleasing tendency that can sometimes make you feel stuck, or if that's what it is. So first we're going to get tarot on the insecurity to make sure we have that correct, and then we'll get tarot on how to feel grateful for it. We have the 10 of Wands with responsibility. Oh, okay. Oh, and feel really drawn to these two. Okay. Let me create space here. Okay, we have the Page of Swords with Vigilance, I'm sorry. Two of Pentacles with Ambition, the Temperance card with Harmony, the World card with Motivation, and the Three of Pentacles with Recognition. All right. I'm going to zoom in here on these cards for a moment, and then I'll back out so that you can see your oracle again. But I am kind of confirmed in the fact that I feel this is people-pleasing as the stuck energy because of the bringing harmony and motivated by the world and being recognized. Sometimes unintentionally, people-pleasing comes about so that you can be recognized for what you do, right? When you're younger, maybe you go the extra mile and put extra pressure on yourself to have good grades so that you get the outer girl or the attention that you don't usually get. Or perhaps at work you overdo it and please your boss when it's not necessary because it's just a job, because you like getting the praise. Maybe you didn't get a lot of it when you were younger. Maybe that's where that insecurity comes into play, and the fact that the people-pleasing tendency maybe came across so that you would get attention. Some people act out to get attention when they don't get it when they're younger, and some people be people pleasers, right? So there was a lot of responsibility. Maybe you had to grow up at a young age. Maybe you had to be mature before you wanted to have to be as a kid. And so you learn these people pleasing tendencies so that you got some sense of regulation in your life since you had to mature early on. So, and that could be where that duality from the first message comes into play of, like, mentally you had to grow up, but emotionally you were still learning what your emotions meant. But you were very intuitive as a child, that you might have been called too sensitive, with this being vigilant of what you share with people, because you always got called too sensitive because of your feelings. But you were ambitious, right? And that's where I'm getting that maybe you did the people pleasing to get the recognition that you didn't otherwise get. And if it was because you were over emotional, right, or you were the sacrifice or the scapegoat when things went wrong, then maybe being over vigilant and the fact that you wanted only good praise instead of negative praise became your whole existence, right? Maybe, and then now as an adult, maybe you feel stuck in people-pleasing tendencies even when you try not to be, because it's something that you have gotten used to doing, especially with people you love. Not necessarily strangers as an adult, but with this Eros card, it could be in situations with people you love. Your family, maybe, if that's where the people-pleasing came from, or in a relationship. It's a way that you get the praise that you might need. You might just be words of affirmation as your love language, but no one's ever been able to give you the love language you need, so you people please to get the recognition and validation that you wouldn't otherwise get. So I'm seeing that as the feeling stuck energy here. So let's get tarot on how we can turn it into something to be grateful for. We have those three. Let's see what else we've got. that one. Oop, that one clearly. I'm just going to leave that here. That was the Seven of Pentacles. I believe it'll fall right there, because that's where it fell. We have the Hierophant with knowledge. Nothing ever happens by chance during a reading. We have Judgment with forgiveness. Okay. So far, Major Arcana is coming out. We have the High Priestess. Look at that. Another Major Arcana. Okay. Major information here. Okay. We have the King of Pentacles with Mentor. Okay. And the Sun card with Happiness. So there is a lot of Major Arcana here. I would like to point that out. Not that it wasn't easy to point out, but because we are asking now how to be grateful for that feeling stuck energy from people pleasing, right? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Major Arcana and a Court card. And the only one that's not is the Seven of Pentacles with Faith and Abundance, okay? So again, I'm going to kind of like zoom in a little bit on your cards, and then we'll zoom back out for your oracle. A lot of energy here. So this is very heavy energy in the sense that there is a lot of ways to make this a reason to be grateful. So first being, you have the knowledge from your intuition on you can feel the shifts in energy. So if you start looking at it as a positive and start noticing, start picking up on that knowledge. So every time that you feel a shift in energy and you're like, okay, I have to do this action to keep this energy the way that I like it, stop and dive into what that means, okay? So you feel a shift in energy, you're pausing, and you're going to deep dive into what that shift in energy means for you. Why you feel the shift of energy, what you're feeling, what the root of that feeling is, and you're going to deep dive into that. And that knowledge is going to be a source of power for you. Also, as you deep dive into that knowledge, into why you feel the need to people please, why you feel the need to maintain an energy when it shifts, and why that shift in energy, what it means for you, how you feel about it, you're also going to come face to face with your inner child, and you're going to have to forgive yourself. The biggest thing here is forgiving yourself for the pain that you've experienced when you were people pleasing, because you did the best you could with the knowledge and the feelings you had at the time. You can't blame yourself for the things that you experienced. We often forgive others for the trauma that we have, but we often forget to forgive ourselves for experiencing it. Again, I'm having that itch. This might be a source of anxiety for you. It might be hard for you to acknowledge that you have that pain. So that knowledge that, so if you go through those energy shifts, okay, you feel a shift in energy and you go through it of, it makes me feel this way because I felt this way before when I was younger or during a relationship before, and it's giving you this sense of unease, and that feeling came from this, and you follow that, and you get to when you were a child or when that original wound happened. You have to forgive yourself for going through the experience that happened that caused you to have these feelings, because we do the best we can with the knowledge we have at the time, and it's so much easier in some instances to forgive other people than it is to forgive ourselves for trauma we experienced, for things that have happened. If you had bad breakup, you know, it's easy as you're transcending to see the wrong that both sides did and seeing your own wrong, but then you forgive the other person. But do you ever forgive yourself for the wrong that you noticed that you did in the past? Kind of energy. So the weight for this is very heavy in the sense that you've got to follow what your intuition is saying, learn what it is saying, deep dive in it, forgive yourself at the meaning of that, and turn it into a source of power here. You're going to do emotional alchemy, okay? You're going to follow the emotion, understand what it means, forgive yourself for that wound, and know that that wound is your source of power, where the light comes in, where your power begins. Those wounds are how your intuition formed, okay? Diamonds form under pressure. So your power is formed from those wounds. So the more you understand them and the more you forgive yourself for the past and start transforming it with alchemy, okay? You're going to turn your pain into a source of power and pleasure or happiness. It's going to be a source of power for you. You're going to start using it as a way to know that your intuition is speaking to you. And then you're going to be able to mentor your own thoughts in this sense, okay? And manifest your abundance, okay? So, breaking it down, I know I keep going back and forth, but that's because it's such heavy energy. So you're going to learn what those feelings are telling you. Forgive yourself and forgive those wounds and be thankful for them, because they are where your power and your light comes in. You're going to then turn that pain into a source of power with this High Priestess card and mentor yourself with your thoughts. You're going to be leading with that intuition, and you're going to have faith in the abundance that that intuition is going to bring in, and it's going to lead to more happiness and more gratitude because you're having faith in the abundance that your intuition is bringing in. So the way that you're going to turn this into a great way to be grateful, is knowing about the knowledge, forgiving yourself, turning into a source of power. I'm also getting, for some of you, this is just starting to speak up for yourself, okay? So when you recognize that shift in energy, forgiving yourself and knowing it is not your responsibility to maintain other people's emotions and energies, and speaking up for yourself, and that making it a source of power. So you're going to mentor yourself in the sense that you are going to be the source of power and abundance and growth in your world, because what we think is what manifests out into reality. So by learning more about what that emotion and that intuition is telling you, and by forgiving yourself and turning it into a source of power, you are going to be the one bringing the abundance into your life. Your manifestations are going to be attracted to you, and then you're just going to have faith that that abundance is divinely guided for you. Your higher self is saying doing this inner work is enough to bring that abundance into your life, okay? So if you have had this anxiety about facing yourself or facing those traumas, your higher self is saying have faith in your intuition and your higher self, and know that it's bringing in happiness and growth and abundance as you process through and do that emotional alchemy, okay? And that is the second most message I am seeing from higher self for pile number 2. All right, and now we are on the third message, pile number 2 from higher self, about how to turn a point of emotional withdrawal or energy withdrawal that you're being asked to do into a source of growth. So you have the Shadow Light card with apologizing and grudge with 15, which I definitely am getting the feeling from this pile that you are the people pleasers, you have anxiety, you over apologize, and that is from people pleasing tendencies of you feel like you have to apologize for shifts in energy when it's not your responsibility. We have, oh, hold on one moment. There's something on that card. We're going to use your crystal here. Okay. We have Rebel with Revolutionary, and we're going to hide those for YouTube rules. It happens sometimes. Okay. So that took an extra moment to put up there because there was a crystal there. All right, and then we have Artemis with Achievement, Victory, Triumph, Freedom, and Completion. And it is a number 1 card. Artemis also has the moon there on her head. We have Enlightenment in the solar plexus. We have House 10 with Structure, Discipline, Life, Mission, Accomplishments, and Career. Some Saturn energy up in here. Okay. We have Elder with Wisdom in 28 or 10. Then we also have Tauromenia. I'm probably not saying that right. I do not resist change. Change can be a creative force. I can build upon my strength. All right, so this pile is going to be heavy because an emotional withdrawal. So change is the only constant in the universe, right? It's one of the universal laws. And your source of enlightenment, as you start turning your pain into a source of power from that previous message, you're going to stop apologizing for things that are not your fault. That is where you're losing some of your energy. You are giving your energy away by apologizing to people for things that are not your fault. And that is your energy. Do not give your energy away. So far with just the oracle cards, I'm getting the sense that the change should be that you hold on to more of your energy and quit releasing it. So in this sense, it's not an energy withdrawal that you need to do. It's an energy keeping that you need to do in this pile number 2, and quit apologizing for things that you have no control over. But let's get tarot and clarify and make sure about the withdrawal part. Okay. Well, that's clear. Okay. A lot of cards for you. Pile number 2. We have 9 of Cups with Good Fortune. I want to make sure we can see that apologizing there. I feel like it's very important in this one. We have the Magician with Mastery. We have the Temperance coming back with Harmony here. You've had that in previous message. 3 of Pentacles with Recognition. Look at all your messages tying together. Pile number 2. All right. 2 of Pentacles with Ambition. That was also in your first message. Okay. I'm going to stop there. Spirit is telling me that this is for the second part. All right. We're going to zoom in on those tarot cards. I'm going to put these right here so you can see them for the next part. Okay. So you have a sense of good fortune here, and the growth is going to be understanding those emotions and mastering them. So in that previous message of turning it into alchemy, that emotional alchemy you're going to be doing is going to be valuable in the sense that you're going to have power over your emotions. And know that your emotions are the only thing that you can control. Your thoughts, your emotions is what you can control. You can control you. You cannot control other people. For some of you, this is going to just be being able to express your emotions. Your emotions are your sense of fortune here, and just expressing them instead of apologizing for them, or every time you talk about your emotions, you apologize for them, quit doing that. And you need to talk about them, because that's kind of the flip there, right? Is if we don't talk about our feelings, they kind of build up, and then we are grudge towards other people, or mad at the people who those emotions are to, because we never address them, kind of thing. Pardon me. So, apologizing for when you talk about your feelings versus not talking about them and having grudge is what I'm getting here for this pile. So you're going to be a rebel here, okay? A rebel against your own self, in the sense that your emotions are a sense of good fortune for you. They are telling you things, regardless if you want to hear them. And when you learn what your emotions are telling you, and you become a master of your emotions, you're going to speak about it. Don't hold back. You're going to talk about how you feel. It's important to talk about how you feel to people. And you're not going to apologize for how you feel, because emotions are valid. Yes, what you do, the actions you do based on your emotions, are your responsibility, because cause and effect is a law of the universe. But your emotions are valid, and you are allowed to feel them. Especially in a relationship that you're wanting to grow, you need to not apologize for expressing your feelings, because it's important for other people to know how you feel, you know how they feel, you talk together, and you get that balance. Okay, so here, again, I'm not getting that emotional withdrawal is the thing, or an energy withdrawal or emotional withdrawal is not what you need here in this pile. It's more of saving your energy. Quit apologizing for having feelings. Quit apologizing for expressing them. Quit apologizing for things that are not your responsibility to apologize for. So, for example, when your significant other or your parent complains about something in their life, you can empathize with them without apologizing for it like you did the wrong. And when something is done to you, you're going to express your emotions. So it's talking about becoming the master of your emotions and balancing that, holding them in versus letting them go, and then not apologizing for them, but being mindful of the actions that you have, and know that you do not need recognition of your emotions being right or wrong in order for them to be valid, okay? That's where some people get kind of in a certain way of they want their emotions to be validated. But no, you feeling them is enough for them to be valid. Do we grow and expand? And as we grow and expand, do we start to deeply understand our emotions more? And do we understand that just because we feel a certain way doesn't mean that the alternate can't still be true? Yes, it can still be true. What I mean by that is, can you feel that a relationship doesn't work and also the other person feel a different way? Yes, both can be true. Or can you feel that you have failed in some sort of way, because what we are the creators of our reality. So say that you take responsibility for your inner world causing your outer world, but it could also be true that things in your outer world need to change, because change is the only constant, and as we expand and grow, we have to depart from previous connections. So they both can be true. And so this is saying, know that trusting your intuition does not need recognition from the outside, or you don't need validation, or you don't need when other people start thinking or assuming about you as you grow and expand, and you quit apologizing and you quit people pleasing. They're going to start assuming things like, oh, they're changed, or oh, they really let go of themselves, or oh, they're really depressed, or they're going to start having those assumptions, and you're going to let them. You're not going to over-explain yourself, okay? You don't need that outside recognition of your feelings to know that they're valid and to know that you're balancing and doing the inner work. And this is saying, as long as you maintain that ambition of turning that pain into power here, it's just going to grow. And it's going to be a source of abundance for you. Not needing this recognition. Needing recognition here more is a sense of you recognizing your emotions and the power that they hold for you. Knowing that they are a source of victory and freedom for you, a source of enlightenment for you. And when you control them, when you get structure and discipline over your emotions, they are a source of wisdom for you and a source of good fortune. And so in this, it's learning you recognizing your own self. You don't need outside recognition. You don't need outside validation. And that ambition and learning to recognize yourself and turning it into power is going to be a source of abundance for you. Now we have 4 more cards about this situation and how it's going to help grow. Here we have the 10 of Wands with responsibility. We have the 8 of Cups with doorways. Okay. We have the Emperor card with maturity. And Ace of Wands with new adventure. Okay. This pile number 2, you were the one with anxiety, people pleasing. So what this is telling me here is that if you take on this responsibility of doing the action of change, because change is necessary for manifestation. It's one of the universal laws that we have to do the action and do the change and changes and actions that will help us along the path to our manifestations. Because as you change and as you do those actions, you're going to attract your manifestations to you. So it's saying if you take on the responsibility of learning your emotions and what they mean to you and learning to recognize them and learning that they are a source of power and learning to follow your intuition, that it's going to open up doorways for you. And it's also going to mature and heal that inner child. With this Emperor energy, I get that masculine energy, but I also get inner child because your root chakra is masculine in the sense that you're going to heal your inner child and it's going to start a new path for you. We talked about pile number 2 in that first message about Carl Jung and how he talked about you could change those cycles, right? Maybe it was the second message. Either way, one of those messages, we talked about how you could change the cycle, right, between your subconscious and your consciousness by doing new actions. This is talking about if you choose to take on the action of changing and starting to going to your manifestations and listening to your intuition and not being apologizing and people pleasing and starting to take control of your destiny, because our reality is a reflection of our inner world. Pardon me. It's going to open up more doorways for you and more emotions, and you're going to keep following them. You're going to keep doing the actions required, and you're going to keep listening to your emotions, and it's going to slowly heal that inner child for you and give you this new path of action that you didn't know would ever exist for you in this lifetime. That is the growth and abundance that can come to you from maintaining your energy and by not just giving it away loosely with apologizing or people pleasing. That is what I see as the messages for pile number 2. If you liked the reading or didn't like it, leave me a like or a dislike, a positive comment or constructive criticism. Feel free to follow, subscribe, or share if you feel drawn to. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. All right, pile number 3, if you selected this card with 23 and this tiger's eye, this is your pile with 3 messages from higher self. You'll know it's your messages because your significator card will be present for all of the messages. I have 3 sets of oracle for each message. 1, 2, and 3. I'll set these aside here. For the next couple messages. And the first message from higher self is going to be a self-doubt and how to give self-love to heal it. You have the shadow light card with purpose and passion and number 10, which that 23 breaks down to 5 on your significator card. You have the feminine archetype, traveler and faith. I'm going to try to create as much space as possible here so that we have plenty of room for tarot. We have Apollo, number 5, which is interesting because your significator card 23 breaks down to 5. And you have optimism, happiness, joy, and warmth with the Apollo card here. We have the chakra card, release in the crown chakra. We have sextile with a combination of tension and flow, potential in a rewarding situation. We have rosemary with ancient memory in number 3. It also has the sun and I believe Mercury at the top. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, come on. Focus, camera. Sorry about that, pile number 3. We also have Mecca with I radiate my peace outwards. I have faith. I am devoted. I understand that forgiveness frees me. All right. And we have the Tarkine, maybe. I might be saying it wrong. Growth is good, but I acknowledge it can sometimes be painful. I accept my own wild soul. I can be alone and connected. Okay. So, let's do initial energies before I bring in the tarot of a self-doubt. I believe this pile is giving me a lot of earth energies and release here. With this optimism, I believe the self-doubt might be doubting your spirit or your intuition in the sense that you feel drawn to your past lives, or you start learning as you do this journey what you were in past lives. You start learning who you truly are, if you're an ancient soul, if this is not your first lifetime. But then you doubt it because of your ego, or because maybe you're very humble. You're like, I don't believe that I could be that significant, or that the universe could bestow some of that on me. But we will get tarot to confirm what this doubt is. But that's just initial thoughts. And the release might be releasing anxieties in regards to your gifts. Also, it could just be that you're in tune, right? With this ancient memory, you might have a gift like clairvoyance or all of the claras, or you might be a vessel, and you might need to release those doubts in order for that to come through. A lot of that can be when we're children, right? And we have those gifts. We express them, and then the feedback we get is negative, or someone tries to take advantage of it, and so we suppress them. And then as an adult on a spiritual journey, you try to reconnect with them. So some of that release might be releasing some of that negative thoughts from other people that are in our heads. One more. Okay, that one's clear. Okay. I'm just going to kind of tuck that over there a little bit so that I have room. We're going to back that up a little bit. Okay. So So your first card is Hope with the 5 of Cups. Another 5 for this pile. We have 10 of Cups with Joyfulness. I think you can see that. I'm not sure. We have 3 of Cups with Friendship. Oh my gosh, look at all those cups. All those cups. 8 of Swords with Restriction. Oh yes, I'm getting such a clear message here. And Ace of Cups, Emotions. Look at that. There are so many cups. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on the tarot to read the energy, and then we'll go back so that you can see your oracle. Cups, 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 cups. There's only one not cup card in this self-doubt. So this pile is very intuitive, very in touch with their gifts. They might be psychic, they might be just in tune with Mother Earth energy and the universe itself. And the doubt comes from, pardon me, those thoughts, okay? These thoughts, restrictions. A lot of the negative self-talk we hear is other people's that we haven't released out of our energy. So this self-doubt is so strongly emotionally, your intuition, it has to do with your intuition. So many cups. Okay. It might be expressing your emotion. You might have trouble expressing your emotions or your intuition. And like I said, if you are a psychic person, you might have expressed it when you were younger and you got backlash or negative reviews, or you might be called too sensitive, especially if you're an empath. You might have reacted to people's emotions and not even understood that you were reacting to people's emotions. For example, you might have cried when you were younger in school, or you might have had vivid dreams and then you had deja vu moments from these vivid dreams. And then you tried to talk to someone about them and they made you feel some sort of way. Or it could not be even, these negative thoughts could not even be tied to your emotions. It could just be, or your intuition, it could be, what I'm getting, it could be just a narcissistic parent or relationship that made you feel that way. It might not even be tied to your intuitive gifts, because maybe you're a very optimistic person, maybe you're a very glasses only half full kind of person, and you love others and people and you love new experiences. And if you've gotten hurt by a narcissist, now you have painful thoughts when it comes to those optimistic point of views. And now you have those thoughts in there of you're too sensitive, or those gaslighting thoughts about your emotions. So let me pull that back up so we can see everything here. So that self-doubt I'm really getting is negative thoughts that restrict your intuition or your emotions. It might just be, again, with expressing them. Maybe you don't feel comfortable expressing them because the people you express them to, your friends or your family or the community that you had when you expressed your feelings of hope or optimism or joy within those friend groups, they might have made you feel some sort of way for having those positive feelings. But your emotions are your sense of connection and intuition, and it's a sense of abundance for you, and it's part of your purpose, and it's part of that ancient memory and how you're connected. So I will definitely want to say here that the doubt that I'm getting is due to negative self-talk when it comes to your emotions or your intuitive gifts. So let's get the clarity on how we can use some self-love to heal that self-doubt. two. Those two. Okay. That came out like butter. Okay. We have the King of Pentacles with Mentor. We have the Ace of Swords with Clarity, another ace. Page of Cups with Playfulness. We have Four of Cups with Awareness. Oh my goodness. Very intuitive pile. So many cups. And the Fool card with New Beginnings. Okay. I'm going to pull these down for just a moment so that you can see all the cups. I know you can't see the words, but just look at all these cups in this pile. This pile is so intuitive. Cup, 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 cup. Okay? Very intuitive pile. And so just off the rip, I'm hearing that you need to not disconnect yourself from your source of power based on fear. It might be fear for some of you. The self-doubt might be fear-based. You have fears come up or anxieties, and you worry about what other people might think. Especially if you're a very optimistic person, you might become pessimistic when you think about following what your intuition says to you. All right, we're going to deep dive here. Okay, so you are very intuitive, and it is your source of abundance. Pardon me. Oh, it might just be talking about it. Maybe you worry about talking about your intuition with others because you worry about what they're going to say. You worry about that resistance. You worry about that restrictions and voices that you're going to have. It might be due to negative talk you had in the past. So you might have been very intuitive in the past. You let someone know about it. They gave you those negative thoughts. And now as you've grown and you've healed from that experience, you are thinking about sharing it with new people in your life, and you're worried again. That might be part of the doubt for some of you. But the self-love here is be grateful for your gifts. First thing is gratitude. Just take a moment and think of all of the things you are grateful for. Be grateful for the small things. Be grateful for your emotions. Be grateful for your intuition. Be grateful for the knowledge that you have. Be grateful for how optimistic you are, how joyful you are, how much of a good friend you are. Be grateful for those gifts. Be grateful for your power. Let that gratitude be a mentor for you in the sense of help uplifting you when you have those doubts. And sometimes just turning the negative thought into positive and gratitude is enough of a self-love. But it goes further here in clarity. Here you're going to get clarity as you deep dive into why you're grateful for those emotions and for those painful experiences, because every painful experience happens in our favor also, because we are very stubborn, some of us, and just like we don't want to listen to our parents and be I told you so, sometimes we are stubborn with the universe and our gifts. Say that you're very intuitive and you always had gut feelings about people, right? And for once you wanted to be wrong. You knew you weren't wrong, but you wanted to be wrong, so you ignored it. And it might be it took that life lesson of dealing with a narcissist to know that you weren't wrong and you need to not doubt yourself. So it's saying having clarity here in the sense that you're grateful for those negative things that happen, because otherwise you might have continued on a path with a narcissist because you wanted to be wrong for once. So I see this as being grateful and being clear, having clarity in the sense of even the negative things that happen in our favor. It's called pronoia, and it's the opposite of paranoia. And it talks about the belief that everything in the universe happens on our behalf, regardless of good or bad. You don't have to believe that or not. It's just a term. It is a psychological term in psychology, and there is a song on it. I really enjoy that song. You can look it up if you want. It's by Carly Pearl. But that's what I'm getting here. Being grateful for your gifts and getting clarity on the fact that even the negative things that happen in your favor, and you've grown from it, and it's time to release those negative energies that are still in your thoughts and in your body and in your aura. And when you release those, you'll get a youthfulness in a sense with that intuition and that emotion again. You'll start getting your cup filled from the universe. You'll start having those dreams or that deja vu, and you'll start getting that childlike wonderment about your intuition and your gifts again. You'll start being aware of what they're telling you, and that'll lead to a new beginning for you. So the self-love here is loving who you are, being grateful for who you are, being grateful for the gifts that you have, being grateful for the fact that the universe kept you from worse mistakes in some instances, being grateful for your higher self and the fact that you have been on a healing journey, and you started healing and you started connecting with your higher self. This pile is very connected with their higher self and their intuition. So your doubts only come into place when you are hearing the negative thoughts from other people that haven't been released from your energy. This could be past relationships that you didn't fully heal from. This could be family. This could be if you grew up in a certain religion, you have that religious structure there that you're always in the back of your mind hearing, oh, this is a sin, or you're in the wrong, but you're following your intuition and your higher self, okay? So that is the message I'm getting for the first message. So your self-doubt being those negative thoughts or negative self-talk, and the self-love being learning to be grateful and releasing those energies. But I also would like to get one more card pull here on the releasing there, on more insight on how we can release those negative thoughts and energies, because that can be tough, especially if you've had a lot of a lot of trauma. That's hard to talk about, right? And sometimes admitting that you've been through trauma to release it is difficult. So let's get insight on how do we, pile number 3, release that trauma. We have the 9 of Cups with good fortune. That is coming back, even though we shuffled. 9 of Wands with impulsiveness. Spirit is funny. Okay. 6 of Pentacles with gifts. And 6 of Wands with success. Okay, so Spirit is saying the best way to release is to feel the feeling and sit with it. Sometimes sitting with the emotion is enough to heal from it. You don't really have to speak it out. Sometimes you don't even have to recognize or give it fuel, right? Sometimes just sitting with the emotion that is drawn out through that trauma. You don't have to acknowledge what that trauma was. Just feel the emotions through it. It's also saying to be impulsive with your actions, in the sense of going with the emotion at the time and going with your intuition, and being impulsive in the sense that if your emotions tell you want to face your fears, so that you can show yourself that you are stronger than your fears or those self-doubts. You could do something as simple as watching a scary movie if you don't like scary movies, and just showing yourself that you are capable of doing things even if you don't like them, just to know that you are in control of yourself and your emotions are not, or your negative thoughts are not. Something along those lines of doing actions based on your intuition that will help you combat those feelings that come up from trauma, but in your life over and over again, because we repeat cycles, and some of the anxieties that we feel in our everyday life can be contributed back to some of those traumas. So it's saying a good way to release it is to sit with it, to feel it, or to do actions that create those similar feelings and to move through them, to be a sense of I got this, through a new action that creates the same emotion. It's also saying be grateful for the gifts the universe sends, because cycles repeat themselves. And so if you are in the middle of another lesson so that you can get through this emotion, being grateful that you can release a previous trauma in a new situation and not necessarily have to experience the trauma again, because we repeat cycles. Now, do you have to feel that emotion and do you have to acknowledge that the trauma happened? Yes, but you don't have to relive it. You can have a softer, per se, experience that is the same emotional anxiety upheaval and face it. And it's saying you'll have success as long as you do the change and action required, and as long as you're grateful to the universe for every opportunity to face and change that cycle. So that is the end for the first message on pile number 3. We will break up here and move on to your second message. Okay, pile number 3. The second message from higher self is about an energy that makes you feel stuck and how to be grateful for it. 29, with cherishing and suppressing, is the shadow light here. It also could just be something that the universe has put in place, a boundary the universe has put in place, and how to feel grateful for the negative things that the universe does in our favor. We have the moon with rhythm. I'm getting a lot in this pile of just being impulsive, okay? Especially with that moon and rhythm card. I'm going to pause here for a moment because a lot in this pile is versus cherishing and suppressing and being grateful for the things that happen. That moon and rhythm card is all about being impulsive and dancing under the full moon. So a lot of this is just releasing that anxiety from your body. Go out, take a walk, do yoga, go swimming, movement to release, do impulsive things in a safe way to release that tension from our bodies. Sometimes it's just releasing it from our bodies that will do a lot. Yes, some of us have emotional ways of releasing, and you do have to release it emotionally, but releasing it physically is important as well. You have Atlas, number 41 or 5, with responsibility and weighed down. Ooh, buddy. A lot of earth energy in this pile. I'm not surprised if you are an earth sign. It doesn't have to be, but I get a lot of earth energy in this pile. So that's Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, but it doesn't have to be your sign. It's just the energy in this pile. We have crown chakra with balance. And the crown chakra. We have Taurus. There's another earth energy with trust, patience, and stability. A lot of earth energy. It could just be that this pile needs to be grounded, and that's why you need to do movement in the outside, because grounding can be as simple as just being out in nature. You have magnetic South Pole. It is acceptable not to know. Mystery is part of life. Acceptance allows me to begin to grow. I love that with the mountains in Alaska with the Aurora Borealis right there. And then you have cannabis with detachment in number 4. And we have, I believe, I'm not even going to pretend I know. It was Saturn. Yep, Saturn right there. Which Saturn is about structure. More earth colors there. Okay, so the initial thought I'm getting from just the oracle here about a stuck energy is you might be suppressing some of that responsibility, some of that negative thought pattern, some of your heavy stuff in your body, and balancing the 5D energy and the 3D energy is important. So grounding yourself in the impulsiveness of nature and doing impulsive things, detaching a little bit. Yes, we have gifts, and yes, we have a purpose, and yes, we're supposed to listen to our intuition, and yes, we're supposed to do shadow work, but you're also supposed to enjoy the present, okay? The meaning of life is life, and living it is one of the most important things that the universe wants us to do. So far I'm getting that this stuck energy is due to not grounding ourselves. Like you're pushing through a lot of the work, but you're not grounding yourself or releasing some of that energy into Mother Earth, and she loves us, and she takes our energy, that negative energy that we no longer need, and uses it in her favor. So that could be the earth energy I'm feeling. Also is that this pile needs to do some grounding as far as that stuck energy. But let's get more information on what this stuck energy is. There's 2. Okay, I feel that 4 is enough for this. That's what Spirit's saying, and I listen to Spirit. Okay. We have King of Cups with understanding. Ooh, boy. All right. We have 4 of Swords. I don't know why I said songs, but okay. 4 of Swords with recognition. Maybe music. Maybe that dancing. Maybe dancing is a good way to get that energy out of your body. You have 5 of Swords with conflict. A lot of swords in this part. Okay. And 9 of Wands with determination. All right. This stuck energy that we're talking about here is, so you're very intuitive. This pile we've already talked about. And you're learning to understand your emotions, or maybe you do understand your emotions. It's about cherishing that, but it's also about sometimes suppressing it so that you can't. Not suppressing it in the sense that you never feel the emotion. It's suppressing it in the sense that you put it on pause long enough to enjoy a 3D moment, or to release the tension that comes up when we're dealing with spirit and emotion, and releasing trauma and releasing negative energy from our spirit and emotions and our minds, to sometimes release it from our bodies, because it's all connected. So in this instance, the stuck energy is welling up in our bodies and needs to be released, whether it be through dancing, walking, because it's starting to weigh you down. The responsibility of your purpose and of your intuition, of your manifestations and making it a reality, everything in transcending can be heavy, especially shadow work. Shadow work can be excessively heavy. And so in this instance, the stuck energy is in your physical body, and it's dying to be released. And with these swords, I'm kind of getting, there's always a reason not to. right? Not to do the physical thing to release the energy, or always a reason not to ground yourself. There's always a reason not to meditate, whether it be your responsibilities or you're recuperating in the 3D of you're tired or you're hungry. You have those basic needs to meet. And there's always some excuse or conflict. And, whoa, okay. Sorry about that, guys. And whatever it is, those excuses are just excuses, and requiring determination of actual action in order to change it. So that is the stuck energy. Let's get more clarity on how we can get rid of that stuck energy. We're already getting physical movement and things, but let's get exact detail here with some tarot. We've got the King of Swords, a structure. We've got, the Magician with Mastery. We've got the Three of Pentacles with Recognition. And the Knight of Swords with Spontaneity. Alright. Now I am kind of understanding why Saturn was in this pile. I'm going to zoom in closer to the tarot for a moment. Okay. So, structure is required here to overcome that excuse of why you cannot do the physical activity or why you can't do the grounding or the meditation. It's asking for structure, not a time by time structure, just a structure of make a list of things you want to get done in the day. It doesn't matter about timing, it just matters about fitting them all in and mastering your day, okay? Taking charge of your day, recognizing the escapism or the procrastination, or recognizing what you do to kind of hinder yourself and being spontaneous with it. And that's why I'm saying, like, not a time for time, minute by minute, hour by hour kind of structure, but a structure in the sense of, okay, I want to get self-care done, I want to get my responsibilities done, but I also want to fit in the time to do physical activity, to ground myself, to meditate, to do those kind of things. And so if you just write what all you want done, but not time by time, and master your schedule by being a revel in the chaos, right? Being one with the chaos and fitting it in where the chaos lets it, recognizing opportunities and just going with the flow of the chaos, you will find that a not minute by minute, but just a goal-oriented structure might be a little bit easier to fit everything in. For example, I'll use my personal examples. I have a child, and so I have a list of things that I would prefer to get done during the day. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Pile number 3, my child came up. I had to see my child for a moment. But my example being, I have a list of things I would like to get done during the day and things I have to get done. I have a child. I have cooking and cleaning for others I have to do. I also like to meditate to ground myself and protect myself as a channel. And I like to journal so I can deep dive into my feelings and what they mean so I can heal. I like to spend some time with my family. I also strive to go outside and take a walk. And then there's like, I want to spend time with my child, right? You know, I want to teach him. I want to help him have a structure. He's potty training. So rather than minute by minute, hour by hour, I make a list generally of what I would like to do each day, and I let the chaos lead. Do I always get to everything? No. But do I get to more than if I went minute by minute and I couldn't keep up with it minute by minute? Yes, I do. So in that instance of to take control and release this energy from your body, that is feeling stuck and you're feeling weighed down by, is make a list of things that you would like to get done, and make sure you balance there with that crown chakra stuff for yourself and stuff for responsibilities and things like that, because yourself is important and you deserve self-love. And sometimes self-love is going to the gym or going for a walk or taking that much needed shower, okay? So in this instance, it's saying the way to get out of that stuck energy is movement. Some sort of movement for yourself. So that's the second message for pile number 3. We will take the cards back and get your last message. All right, pile number 3. This is the last message from higher self, is how to withdraw your energy from something to grow, or something that you're needing to withdraw from to grow and expand. You have the shadow light card with discomfort and resentment, and it's a number 2. We have the feminine archetype with tree of life and connection. Already getting some energy here, but I will wait till I get all of the cards to make my assumption here. We have Hera, which is number 3, with compassion, nurturing, alpha female energy. Feminine energy, whoop whoop. I'm just kidding. But everyone has masculine and feminine energy, so what I was getting with that was letting your feminine energy take control sometimes. So with this energy, with this pile having a lot of earth energy, it might be connecting with that feminine energy a little bit more. We have the solar plexus with miracle. We have Capricorn with ambition, realism, and methodical steps. There is so much earth energy in this pile. So if you're not an earth sign, you're really called to do some grounding and connect with Mother Earth or connect with your feminine energy. We have Angel's Trumpet with death with the number 10. And those are the planet symbols we have at the top there. We also have this box with some crystal and a feather in there. There's also an hourglass on that Capricorn card. It's drawing my attention. We have Valley of the Kings with death is transformation. It is a natural part of life. There are consequences to all actions, no matter how small. Wow, we have death in 2 cards right now. Talk about serendipity or synchronicities. We also have Magdalena Bay Baja with I birth new concepts and ideas easily. I am full of flowfulness in every part of my life. Grace permeates my being. And that's a really pretty picture of the whale there. Okay, so I'm gonna get some general energies from just the oracle on something that needs to be released. I'm seeing that there is this discontent or discomfort or disconnection when it comes to being out in the world, being out amongst people, about connecting with others, about helping others, being compassionate. Maybe it's due to a form of hurt. Maybe you've been hurt by a lot of people. Maybe you're afraid of from the past, how others have treated you, especially if you're very intuitive and very psychic. In the past, connecting with others would seem so daunting to you, but it is important to connect with others and to find the tribe or community that you're meant to be in. But let's get tarot in on that energy. Okay. So we have the Six of Wands with success. I love my natural lighting, but sometimes it's hard to see if you can see things or not, so I apologize if you can't. We have gifts with that Seven of Pentacles, which that was in your last message. So something in this pile number 3 about being grateful for the gifts the universe gives you. We have the Page of Cups with playfulness, which was in your first message, I believe. I love seeing the synchronicities and how higher self is like, see, I'm tying it all together for you. And then you have the King of Pentacles with mentor, which I also believe was in one of your previous messages. Okay, pardon me, I have a creaky floor. Okay, so the energy that I'm getting, pile number 3, for your withdrawal and what you need to release your energy from is fear, in a sense, because with transformation, fear is often the doorway we go through for those deaths and rebirths. Fears, anxiety, trauma, going through those big negative spaces to grow and change and transform. And you're going to be having success with that. You're destined to have success because you have the gifts from the universe to do so. It's just saying to withdraw from that fear, from that anxiety, from the resentment that you have linked with other people, or the resentment you have towards your gifts. A lot of times we block ourselves by being resentful from the experiences we've had with the gifts the universe has given us. And so I'm getting here that you need to reconnect with yourself, with that tree of life. Connect with your inner self. More than connecting with others, it's connecting with your inner self. I'm glad I got tarot to deep dive connecting with yourself and what those fears mean to you. That miracle card and the solar plexus talks about being a light in the darkness, okay? A beacon, right? So your fear is a light in the darkness. Your gifts are a light in the darkness to help you get through that fear, okay? Those fears are a doorway. Your fear is a way to grow. Think of fear as the limiting beliefs you have for yourself. And as you face fears, you realize how limitless you are, because you and the universe are one. We are one with the universe. And the universe is limitless and expansive. And so facing your fears shows you your connection with the universe. So here, the thing that you need to withdraw from is being stopped by your fear. And we'll deep dive into how facing your fears will help you grow. You have a lot of the same cards coming out. I just love that synchronicity. Whoop. We have 2 cards here. Okay. We zoom out a little bit so we have room. You have the 6 of Cups with memories here. I'm going to go through all your cards because I think I did not as I put them down. 3 of Wands with freedom. I apologize. So I will zoom in here and we'll go through them. You have the 8 of Swords with restriction, the 9 of Wands with impulsiveness, the Temperance card with harmony, the 6 of Cups with memories, and the Three of Wands with freedom. Okay. So, the way that you're going to expand and grow by going through your fears is you're going to be less restricted. You're going to have less limits on yourself. You're going to be able to enjoy the present moment. This impulsiveness for me lets me know that you're going to start being able to enjoy the present. You're going to be able to start enjoying the chaos, and anxiety is not going to control your life anymore. Fear of negative energies are not going to fear of those negative thoughts or fear of those negative voices are not going to control you anymore. You're going to enjoy life. You're going to enjoy life. You're going to have harmony with your gifts here, because so you have this moon energy here in your shadow. You're going to have harmony. You're going to have one foot on Mother Earth and grounded, and you're going to have one foot in the intuition and your spirit, okay? So facing your fears is going to help you balance present moment or 3D and 5D. And it's also giving you a reminder here to stay grounded while you're facing your fears. Kind of like when you're very intuitive and you have an ability to see beyond the veil, right? It's like a fun house of mirrors. You have to be careful because you can get lost in that fun house of mirrors. So you have to ground yourself in Mother Earth and in the 3D while you're healing and going through your in touch with your spiritual gifts. So it's saying you're going to know how limitless you actually are. You're going to start enjoying the present moment. And you're going to have balance between the 3D and the 5D. You're going to be able to ground yourself as you're using your gift and your intuition. And you're going to start having that connection with your memories of your true self, of that intuition. It might also be with your past lives, because you might have some past life healing. You're going to start connecting deep with that intuition, and that veil is going to break down, and you're going to be able to see beyond, and all of that emotional intuition that you have, you're going to be able to connect with the universe. You're going to be able to heal and be a beacon of connectivity for others. You're going to be a vertical beacon of capacity and limitlessness to show for others, and it's going to give you a sense of freedom. You're going to feel so free once you face your fears. It's going to give you a connection with your intuition more than you have now. It's going to deepen your connection with your intuition, give you a sense of freedom so that you can enjoy the present moment, and it's going to help you in the long run with balancing your 5D and your 3D. And that is what I see for you, pile number 3, for your third message. And if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. If you would like to leave a positive comment or constructive criticism, feel free. If you would like to share or follow, you can. Otherwise, I'll see you in another video, perhaps. Have a wonderful day.